How is everyone? I'm good too. I'm really good. God, I have like so much, and I know today's about a divine conspiracy. I looked up the word conspiracy, and it's given a negative connotation, like it's a group of people that come together to conspire for some ultimate badness or something. But that's not the kind of conspiracy I'm talking about. I'm talking about the universal conspiracy, conspiracy of the universe, divine conspiracy, which is always for our good and is always. I chose that picture of all the puzzle pieces up in the air because we feel like that. And if you get, are you blessed? Sometimes in life, and you wonder where it's all going to fall, but it's always falling in the right place for us. And I feel that that is one of the blessings of this teaching and the whole idea of knowing that the universe, one of my mantras is the universe is always conspiring in my favor. It's always conspiring in my favor. That's all it does is conspire for me in my favor, no matter what is going on in my life. So what's interesting is that a lot of people come to this teaching. Ernest Holmes even says it somewhere in the textbook. And they come to it as a get-rich-quick plan, or they come to it thinking they're never going to have any health problems, or, that there's nothing worse, I think, than warding things off or waiting for something to happen, before you feel good about life. So that's not what this teaching is about. This teaching is about one thing and one thing only, and it's about recognizing our divine nature. It is about getting in touch with the inner presence of God, whatever you want to call that, within us, and communing with that spirit. It's like, Jesus' quote, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all else follows." That's what this teaching is about. It's not about going out there and starting. It's about coming in here and beginning right where we are. And then life becomes a different journey. And even when you are experiencing things like my experiences of this last week, in the areas of health, it becomes a different journey. And it just becomes a different journey. It becomes an inward journey. It becomes a journey of expansion. It becomes a journey of growth. It becomes a journey of love. And I really want to make that clear today because there's a lot of misconceptions about that. And the other misconception is that we tell people we create their diseases. This is not true. If anybody has told you that the science of mind or any new thought religion teaches you that you create your diseases, that is not true. Now, this is a whole different topic, so I'm not going to get into it today, but we don't create diseases. We create a life of consciousness, and we live in the world of a collective consciousness that is working through us. And that's why the more we can get in touch with our divine self, our inner reality, our inner truth, the more we are going to become these expansive souls that won't be necessary anymore. But for right now, it seems to be very necessary because our whole world, it seems, focuses on that, right? And we've really, during this pandemic, we've even seen it really clearer. But that is not what God is. Like we were taught, if we were brought up in some, different philosophy, and in the old days, people would get sick, and they would be blamed for their sickness. They would be told that it was because they sinned or something that they were sick. That has nothing to do with what we teach. We teach that there is love, there is grace, and no matter what we are experiencing in our lives, that love and that grace is always there for us to tap into and become more in tune with and more expansive is the word I would use. So that's the way I choose to approach life, and that's the way I choose to deal with the world of conditions when I'm confronted with it. I just choose something different. And I also know that when I deal with something, and I'm I'm rarely sick, and I really wasn't sick this week because it was all about my tooth, and I didn't come last week because I didn't feel good, but I didn't want to be contagious to anybody. I was afraid everybody freak out if they saw me my nose dribbling or something. So these days, that is the truth. People, tend to get nervous about things like that, so I was being respectful. But then I find out, well, it was all to do with my tooth. I never was contagious to begin with. So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But so I lost my state of thought with that. Okay. Well, I'll go back to Raymond Charles Barker. But dis-ease, I'll get his anchor right here, is abnormal. That's what he says. It's an abnormal state of being, dis-ease. Even though we treat it like it's pretty much the norm because of the consciousness that we live in on this planet, Earth plane, in reality, it is abnormal. The norm is health. And one of the mantras I had this week that was so helpful to me, because if I would go off into my condition, because I was feeling a lot of different things and, pain and stuff like that, I just kept saying to myself, every time my mind would go off into like, oh, this is going to get worse, or blah, blah, blah. No, I would go, I choose health. I choose health. I choose health. I am health. And I would say it until I actually felt it and believed it. And so anytime I went off, it was so helpful. It was so helpful because it set my mind straight. And that's just like a short spiritual mind treatment, really, because all spiritual mind treatment is directing our thought. Oh, hi, honey. She's so pretty, too. Anyway, Mama's going to take care of her now. She'll be fine. That's all spiritual mind treatment is directing our thought. That was just a simple affirmation, but it's taking my thought and directing it. And when I direct my thought in the direction that I want it to go, and I have an intention, then the universe, that's the conspiracy. The universe has to answer yes to me. It has to answer yes and show me the way. And one of the things I know for myself, and I really got it this week, big time, is that I have an Achilles heel. And my Achilles heel is called, it takes me a moment to surrender. I will fight. I will fight it because I have this thing about health. I will fight it and I will say, no, no, no. And then in the meantime, I'm getting worse, right? And that's my Achilles heel. And I learned that because, well, I kind of always knew it, but I think it came to a head this week so that I've changed, like something changed within me to know. And because I know from past experiences is the moment of surrender to something higher than ourselves that's working through us is the moment that our intuition kicks in, we're guided exactly where we want to go, and the healing begins. And one of the things I know for myself is I've always been guided to the right medical people. I always have the perfect care. And that's an affirmation for me too. But if I don't let myself surrender and allow myself to move through the experience, because as Ernest Holmes says, it's a pill and a prayer. That's another thing we don't teach here. We don't teach that you don't go to doctors. Maybe there'll be a day when we won't need doctors anymore. But right now, we need them. We need them because we're not, if we had a state of consciousness where we didn't need them, and some of us do, maybe, perhaps, and that's great for them, but I know I'm not totally in that state of consciousness where I don't need medical help, but I work with the doctor. Do my own work, and like Ernest Holmes says, you can't have a healing if you're not really willing to let go of the cause. It's just going to come back. It's just going to come back, and it's just going to come back until you're willing to mentally and emotionally and spiritually go in and say, I'm willing. Even if you don't know what it is, I'm willing to let this go. I'm willing to start new right now and move myself in the direction of whatever that direction for yourself is. So, yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It's always an interesting journey, but it's good, right? And it's so interesting because, we just lost Prince Krishna, our beautiful cat, and I feel like everything just came to a head with that, and this whole thing came to a head. And this teeth journey that I've been on my whole life came to a head in this moment. Reverend Angela, I used to read her all the time. She put out something called The Morning Blessing, and I would read it every day. I need to go back and look her up. But this quote came back to me in a prior blog that I have wrote, and she calls it the gotcha moment. She goes, maybe you thought there was that one teensy-weensy little thing that you wouldn't have to deal with. That you could just pretend it doesn't exist. Then comes the gotcha moment. The gotcha moment is when all the forces conspire to call you into alignment and make your choice very, very clear. Your dodge has been revealed, and what has been delayed demands immediate recognition and action. Now, this is like both on the physical plane, but also it might come forward on the physical plane, because obviously it is, because, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, if we don't deal with an emotional situation or whatever, it lodges in our body, and it's going to show up one way or the other. So now what's happened, it's demanding immediate recognition by you, whatever that is, and action. So that was very helpful for me when I read that yesterday. And there's another thing I wanted to say, is that we believe is written in our principles. And we got a whole different idea about this on Thursday night in our practitioner class, and I did too. And thank you, Patrick. We believe the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this freedom is to be attained by all. Read it one more time. We believe the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and this freedom is to be attained by all. Now, when I used to read that quote, I used to think that it meant, we're never going to have any troubles. We're free. We're going to be free from all discord. We're never going to get sick. We're always going to have this. We're going to, we'll live in this state of paradise. But that's not what that means. The operative word is freedom. We could experience something that is perceived as discord, but we will be free of it because we won't look at it that way anymore. We'll instead have an inner journey, an inner expansion, an inner recognition of something greater. So what will happen is, because we live in a conspiring universe that's always conspiring in our favor and is always answering yes to us, when we choose it not to be discord and choose it instead to be faith and trust in something greater than what's happening, then what's the universe going to do? Discord's going to disappear, and the experience is that we have are going to become more positive, more in alignment with our truth. So I love that. I love that. So I will close with this quote by Dr. Ernest Holmes, who's not just a pretty man, little old man on the wall over there. And I don't know, maybe he's not very pretty, but he was really short. He was about 5 foot. And I know, he was probably about 5 foot something, and his wife was like tall, probably like close to 6 foot, and gorgeous, and this person from Hollywood who was just like, oh my God, he was so in love with her, and he didn't meet her until he was in his 40s, just like you. That's true. Anyway, I just don't want anybody to think we ever worship Ernest Holmes. We just think, Diane said it wonderful. He's I don't remember what you said, but it was perfect. That, he's got like some great things to say, and he's written a book that's quantum science, and he wrote it in 1927. So, hey, and every time I read that book, I get something new out of it. But anyway, he said, we shall all arrive at this same assurance, this perfect faith, in such a degree as we cease contemplating the universe as opposed to itself, as we cease having the will to do or be that which is contrary to universal good. So the universe is constantly moving in our favor, meaning it's constantly saying yes to us. It's constantly moving with us, right? And so we don't have to do anything, but I know that for myself, the more I can contemplate my good, the more the universe is going to move in that direction for me. And because it can't be opposed to itself. Like we say that the universe doesn't go against itself. What we're saying is the universe is moving according to, that's why we say our minds are so powerful, what we think. So the more we just get in alignment with that idea and perhaps accept it as true, and then say, oh, every time we think, like what I was telling you when I said I choose health, every time I think something opposite of that, I got to go, the universe is saying yes to me because it's just conspiring for me, just giving me all the experiences I require to make that true. So, yeah, but you have to believe it first, right? So this is a universe of love and order. And it's a divine conspiracy for us on our behalf. I don't know the whys or wherefores or where it all began or why, but Ernest Holmes says we're here to prove to ourselves that spiritual thought force is greater than material resistance. And I think that, we got lots of material resistance in very many areas of our lives and as a global planet. And we're here to I think it's happening. We're moving back into saying, a lot of us, you know what, we got to start here. 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 And as far as I'm concerned, there's only one answer, and it's love. And it's self-love. That's the answer. And that's what we're focusing on this year, because it's the year of self-love. And so my knowing is that we're all just moving perfectly. The universe is conspiring in our favor, and that it is coming from that place of love within us for ourselves. So I am grateful. And again, thank you for all your love and support. All right, namaste.
Namaste.
Yeah.